Well, good morning and welcome to a rather dull and damp Amsterdam.
We arrived in the early hours of the morning, a day ahead of schedule. As we previously mentioned, the whole itinerary for this cruise has been moved forward by a day.
Now, once again, we were woken up by the captain doing an announcement through the PA system into the cabins. This time he had to tell us that plans have changed once again. We will be leaving Amsterdam in the early hours of tomorrow morning, so that means today is the only day we get here. Now, originally we should have been here tomorrow, that's New Year's Eve, stayed here the full day and then left on New Year's Day. So we're going to be spending New Year's now at sea.
Hi, if you're new to our channel, we are Tom and Dom Travel and we release a new cruise and travel related video every single week. So if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and don't forget to give this video a like.
Now, as we were away, we decided to get ourselves up and about, ready for the arrival of our room service. Yes, we'd booked room service the night before.
So we had originally put down 9:30 and I think it got you around about 20 to 10, so that wasn't too bad.
Yes, so we decided to have quite a selection. We had cereals to start, both of us had a hot breakfast, as well as orange juice, and I had a tea and Dom had a coffee.
All was really good. The service was prompt. The hot food was actually hot, which I was really impressed with, and so was the coffee. And the fact that it's included in your cruise fare at no additional charge is definitely an added bonus. Even though we'd had a coffee and juice, we did get ourselves dressed and headed down to find a latte. Yes, it is chargeable, but if you have a drinks package, it's included. Fortunately for Tom and I, we've got the beers, wines and spirits package. We made our way down to the chart room. Now, unfortunately, it was full with lots of people enjoying those premium coffees as well as those breakfast pastries that are available. We grabbed ourselves a coffee and then we headed up to the midship lounge, which is a quiet, sedate area where you can sit and just take in the sea views through the window.
Now, normally in the chart room they give you a nice glass to have your latte in, but because we were having it to take away as such, they gave it us in one of these white mugs, which we then sat upstairs.
While we were sipping our coffee, we did write our Patreon postcards.
So if you'd like to support us on Patreon and receive exclusive benefits, including one of our postcards from our trips, then sign up in the link in the description. Fueled up on coffee, we did then take the opportunity to spend some time wandering around the ship, filming parts of our ship tour.
We both felt as if we haven't had the time to explore the ship, so we decided not to get off in Amsterdam early, but to spend the time on board Queen Victoria. And wow, it was definitely the right decision because we got to visit every single venue and deck on board.
Now, we even made it up onto the Grills terrace, which was great. Nobody else was around, so we wasn't disturbing anyone. Well, people were off the ship and, to be honest, the weather was not great.
Yes, very cold and windy here in Amsterdam today, unfortunately.
Yes, so we got to explore the ship from top to bottom, and if you do want to see the full ship tour, we'll pop that in a separate video.
We were really impressed with the library. It's got a beautiful spiral staircase, a number of internet-enabled computers.
One of the areas of the ship that we do absolutely love the look of is the Royal Arcade. That part of the ship does look beautiful, and that big clock right in the middle that is double-sided, and also another area is the theatre. Now, this has to be one of the best theatres we've seen at sea because it looks like a theatre you would see in the West End. It's got those traditional boxes and we've been lucky enough to sit in those a few times during this cruise, plus the seating is fantastic. The only thing we would say is if you are seated upstairs, there are glass screens in front of you, so bear that in mind if you're wanting to watch the performance unobstructed.
After exploring the ship, we were a little bit peckish and it was lunchtime, so we thought we'd head to the Golden Lion pub to see what specials they had. Now, on our previous visit on embarkation day, the specials menu was lacking. We'd seen that other passengers on the previous day had managed to get one of the Golden Lion's famous pies on the specials menu, so we had to go in and just find out if we could do the same. Unfortunately for us, they had a potato, cheese and leek pie on the specials menu. We ordered ourselves a couple of pies, a couple of drinks. The drinks came, however, we had to wait 45 minutes for our pie.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a slow service in there today. I don't know whether there was reduced numbers of crew because perhaps some of the crew had got off, but it was a little bit slower. Now, the pie itself was of a good size, but I think the portion as a whole, with a bit of potato that it did come with and a small amount of gravy, was quite
measly.
Yeah, it wasn't the best. And there was no veg. Now on other cruises we have seen that there is veg with the pies, but today nothing of the sort. So it didn't look the best. It looked a bit bland.
We decided to head back to the cabin because we had booked an excursion. This was the Amsterdam Winter Lights Festival canal tour. So we wanted to get ourselves ready and head off in good time.
So back in the room we then got ourselves ready, warmed up, put those layers on because it is cold outside, got our coats and hats on and headed out into Amsterdam. Now from the top of the ship we did notice there was a ferry going backwards and forwards, and we thought this would be a great opportunity to take some photos of the ship from the other side of the river.
Disembarking Queen Victoria was really easy. We had no problems getting off at that time, and in the port itself there was a number of shops as well as toilet facilities, everything you could possibly want.
It took us about a 10-minute walk along the walkway that was right next to the water, because they are doing a bit of works here in Amsterdam, and that is a running joke in Amsterdam if you've ever been before, that there's always constantly works going on in the city here. So we walked up to that ferry that we had spotted before, and we found out that it was completely free. So it's a great opportunity to go across the river, and it leaves every few minutes, so there's plenty of opportunity to get there and back without it taking up your day.
Unfortunately, the port here in Amsterdam does block views of the ship, so if you're looking for a photo, this is the best way to get one from the other side of the river, and it's completely free.
What we would say, this is a walking ferry, but it is also available to people on bikes, and it being Amsterdam, there are a lot of bikes getting on board. Someone nearly knocked me over trying to get on, so there are some rules that people need to follow when you're getting on and off this ferry.
It took us in total to go across, take some photos, and then to come back around about 15 minutes. It was fantastic.
Yeah, very doable. A nice walk on the opposite side. We got some great shots of the ship and of ourselves on the opposite side of the water to where Queen Victoria was docked. Then it was time to jump back on the ferry, across the water again in just a few minutes, and we headed towards Central Station.
We previously visited Amsterdam in the summer on our Virgin Voyages cruise, and the canal tour pickup location is just opposite the main train station. Now you cannot miss the train station because it is this huge building that you can see in the distance, and all you need to do is just keep walking towards it.
And then once you reach the train station, you head towards the canal boats. You can clearly see them, and for our excursion we had to look for the flagship members of staff who were wearing orange coats and t-shirts.
Last time we were in Amsterdam we did a canal tour with unlimited cheese and wine, so this time we thought we'd book with the same company because we had such a great time. For this cruise we had included drinks and snacks, and we got to tour all of the Amsterdam Winter Light Festival installations.
Once we did meet those representatives from flagship in those orange coats, they asked us to join a queue. They allocated our queue by giving us a glow stick and a wristband. The wristband indicates that we have the unlimited drinks and snacks package, and the glow stick tells you which queue to join.
The staff were really helpful. It was very busy with lots of people waiting for the various canal tours that were all setting off from the same location.
Now a good tip here is if you want to go on one of these evening canal tours, book early evening as you can. We had booked the 4:45 slot, which is the first slot in the evening at this time of year, and it meant that we didn't have to wait too long at all before we managed to get onto our boat. Now getting onto the boat, there is a number of steps, so be aware of that if you do have mobility issues, but we were helped by the crew to get on and off the boat. Once we were on the boat we were seated again by members of the crew who allocated us a table of 4. Luckily for us we've already met some friends on the cruise and we were able to sit with them.
Fortunately today sunset was at 4:30, so it was the perfect time to take full advantage and be able to see all of these beautiful light displays. The canal tour was supposed to last 1 hour 15 minutes, but because there were so many other canal tours taking place at the same time, it actually took nearly 2 hours for us to complete the full circuit.
So that did mean we could have an extra few glasses of wine because, as we said, those wines were unlimited.
And we definitely made full use of it.
So they also offered us some little snacks, so they're like little cheesy nibbles really, chili and pretzels. We had a few tubs of those as well to keep us going on our trip.
We got to see some great light installations. A lot of the buildings had different types of projections. There was even one shown over a water fountain. Incredible.
Yep, there was lots of different things. I particularly like the moon installation, which showed different phases of the moon. We really loved that, the multicolour changing ones, and one of the best installations was the floating fish.
It was great to see. Our tour guide was very knowledgeable and told us about each of the installations. It wasn't too cold on the boat as well because it was completely enclosed, and yeah, really enjoyed it. I definitely recommend it. We do it again because it does change every year, and this year it was rituals. If you're interested in the cheese and wine canal tour or this Amsterdam Light Festival canal tour, I'll put a link to both in the description.
As we were disembarking our canal tour, we did notice the queues outside now were huge, much bigger than when we arrived earlier on in the evening, which is why we recommend to you to go earlier, because really the queues were spreading out right across the dock area.
I don't think it helped that the canal tours are only supposed to last an hour and 15 minutes, but because there were so many, there was just a huge backlog, and then that had a knock-on effect with people and the queues.
It was definitely jam-packed on those canals. We were moving at snail's pace, really, weren't we?
Leaving the canal pickup area, again, we just walked towards the train station and headed back to the ship. Took us roughly around about 20-25 minutes, but we were walking at a slight pace because it was very cold.
There was no problems at all getting back onto the ship. Actually, it was much easier than what we'd experienced early on in the year on our Virgin cruise, and we got straight on board, no problems at all. In fact, it was probably one of the easiest we've ever had to do. The one thing that is strange about Queen Victoria is we have so far always disembarked and embarked through the library. So it's a lovely setting, but it's just quite a strange place to do it.
Rather unique venue to embark and disembark the ship.
Yeah, and that poor librarian must be freezing.
Once
Once we were back on the ship, we headed straight to our cabin, got ourselves changed, and then straight down to dinner because we were much later than we had expected to be.
So we got back on board Queen Victoria around about 7:15, 7:20, and normally we had sat in the Britannia dining room at that time. We got changed, headed straight down there. It was around about 8 o'clock. Now, unfortunately, we got to the maitre d' of the restaurant, asked for a table of 2. He just said, "Do you have a reservation?" To which we both replied, "No." And he was like, "I'm going to have to give you a buzzer then."
Yeah, so we did have a buzzer. We sat down with the buzzer probably around 20 minutes and then we were called to go back in. So it wasn't too much of a problem at all, and we'd much rather do it that way because for us, we're not so keen on sharing a table just for filming reasons.
It was fantastic, really. By the time we'd done a full loop of deck 2 and 3, it was time to have dinner. Unusually, mind, instead of being seated on the lower level, which is where those diners who have chosen freedom dining sit, we got to sit upstairs with the fixed time diners.
Yep, so what appeared to happen because we were later tonight, the fixed time diners were already seated at their fixed time, and then that meant they could work out what spare tables they were in the second floor of Britannia Restaurant. So we were guided up the stairs and we sat there, so it was quite a nice change for us. Now, it wasn't long before our waiter then greeted us, gave us some water and offered us the menus.
He also delivered us some bread. I had a glass of wine. However, Tom opted for a Coke because he'd drunken too much wine on the canal tour.
Yes, I thought I'd give myself a little bit of a break before we start again later on. So, what did we order today? Well, for starter, I went for a Caesar salad. Yes, I know what you're thinking if you've watched the whole series. This is the 3rd time I have had a Caesar salad, and I do like it.
For my starter or appetizer, I went for the Brussels smooth pate. Came with a little bit of toast, a little bit of salad and some chutney. Beautiful. Could have eaten so much more. It was delicious. Really enjoyed it. I do like a little bit of pate.
Then for our soup course, we both went for exactly the same. We had the double chicken soup. Not sure why it's double chicken, but it was, and it tasted great.
Lots of flavour, and it had some beautiful chicken pieces in there. I really did enjoy it.
And if that wasn't enough chicken, we went for the chicken triple, and for our main course or entree, we went for the herb crusted chicken.
This came with a rosti potatoes and some cauliflower cheese. Delicious. I wasn't actually expecting it to taste that good, but it really did impress me.
Yeah, one of the best meals we've had so far, and actually we weren't super keen when we first saw the menu, but this chicken was great. great.
In addition to that, I ordered a steak fritz for the table just to try for educational purposes. The waiter asked me how I'd like it cooked. I asked for it medium and it was very nice, and I do like the gravy that they put with it.
Then it was on to our dessert, and I went for that British classic of sticky toffee pudding. I was glad that it also came with ice cream because otherwise it would have been a little bit dry, but it tasted great.
And I went for something very different for me. I went for the vanilla chai seed pudding. It was delicious. I was very surprised and I would have it again. In addition to that, I did ask for a little side of lemon sorbet. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened, but the communication may have gotten a little bit mixed up and a cheese plate arrived instead. Not going to complain.
We don't know how the lemon sorbet turned into a cheese plate, but it did, and the cheese plate was quite good.
It was very
Although
good.
you are not the biggest fan of having a Rivita on a cheese plate, are you?
Yeah, it kind of defeats the whole purpose of cheese and Rivita. But let us know in the comments. Do you think a Rivita is acceptable on a cheese plate?
Well, after all of that debate and having our fantastic desserts, we did get some petit fours.
Yes.
Now, this is the first time on this cruise that we have been offered petit fours. We know they have been available, but because we haven't been ordering coffees downstairs in the lower level of the Britannia Restaurant, they haven't been offered to us. But upstairs in the Britannia Restaurant, they seem to just arrive at our table as standard. So that was very good to try a few of those. Now, as we were on a later dining time tonight, and with our meal done, we then headed to the Royal Court Theatre, because tonight was a production show by the onboard cast.
The production show was called One Way or Another. Tom and I really do like a cast production show, and we were really looking forward to seeing what the onboard team here on Queen Victoria had to offer.
Now, in the daily programme that you receive in your cabin every night, we had noticed there was the advert for One Way or Another, tonight's production, and it described it as a journey around the world at the speed of light with the Royal Court Theatre Company of the Queen Victoria in this tour de force of song and dance. Did it turn out that way?
When we arrived in the theatre, we did try to see if there was a box available. Unfortunately, they'd all been taken, so we ended up sitting up on the top tier. Unfortunately, we did have a piece of glass and it obstructed our view slightly.
Yeah. Now, the production show, the singers and dancers were very good and the singing was of a high standard. However, the production value was very minimal. It involved about 4 boxes that the singers and dancers stood on and 2 ladders. So we didn't really get that around the world transportation feeling as advertised, and also we think because the theatre is just so beautiful, it really didn't have any atmosphere on stage at all. It was a bit flat.
The singers and dancers are incredibly talented, but as Tom said, it just didn't really fit in with this beautiful theatre venue. As we've previously said, it is one of the most impressive theatres at sea that we've seen.
Yeah, and we have seen lots of production shows on many different ships, I'm sure you will know, and at this one it did feel like at the basic end of production shows.
Unfortunately, it was very flat, and the use of 2 ladders was just peculiar.
No, we don't know how that tied into round the world theme. But never mind, as we said, the singers and dancers were very talented.
After the show then, we decided to go up to the Commodore Club just to grab ourselves a drink. Now unfortunately, once again, we got in there and there were no seats available. Lots of people stood waiting for other passengers to leave, so we decided to move on again. We popped into the Yacht Club. Now the Yacht Club is the late night venue on Queen Victoria, but there are also a number of entertainment events, discos, dancing that take place in there earlier on in the evening. Again, the venue was very busy with all chairs taken, so we ended up travelling all the way back down to deck 2 to the chart room. Fortunately, there were 2 chairs available at the bar, so we quickly grabbed those and ordered ourselves a couple of cocktails.
Now, I ordered myself a porn star martini and you ordered one of the special cocktails off the menu.
Yes, I had one of their Zodiac cocktails again, and this time I chose the Resolute Spirit, which is a gin-based cocktail, and I was blown away. It was beautiful. Sat at the bar is great because you can actually see them making them.
We didn't just have one, we had 2 of those cocktails because we're making the most of the fabulously talented barmen who were making the cocktails in front of us.
After chatting to some fellow passengers at the bar, sipping some beautiful cocktails, we weren't quite ready ready for bed just yet, so we headed up to the yacht club to see if we could grab one last drink and a seat.
When we first arrived there was no seats available, but it wasn't long before a couple left and we quickly dashed over and took 2 seats.
Like a bullet. We both had a gin and tonic. We sat there, listened to some great music, watched some great dancing by some of our fellow passengers. It was a really nice atmosphere.
And we did comment that it was the venue with the best atmosphere of the evening. Now that was a fantastic way to wind up our evening, but before we left the yacht club we did get ourselves 2 bottles of water from the bar. Top tip, if you are on the drinks package, the bottles of water are included and you can order as many as you like from the bars around the ship.
So with our bottles of water in hand, we headed straight back to the cabin. We didn't go straight to sleep because we did partake in a little bit of room service. So this evening I went for a beautiful Cunard cheeseburger, the meat quality top notch.
And I went for the ragu pasta and it was fantastic. It comes with a little garlic ciabatta. It was a great way to finish off the evening. Yes, we have had a lot of food today.
We're on a cruise. That's what it's all about.
Now, as we said, tomorrow plans have changed and we most likely have left Amsterdam before we wake up, because I think according to the schedule now we're looking at leaving around 6 AM.
So originally we were supposed to be in Amsterdam for all of the fireworks and festivities for New Year's Eve, but now we're having all of those festivities at sea here on Queen Victoria, and it's all going on tomorrow.
So if you want to find out what New Year's Eve looks like, including all the activities available on board one of Cunard's ships, then tune in to our next episode to find out.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to support us in creating future content and receiving exclusive benefits such as postcards, we're available on Patreon and through YouTube channel memberships.
And please don't forget to like and subscribe.
It's free.
And hit that bell notification button to never miss a video from us.
Thanks for watching.
Bye bye.
Thanks for watching. We've got lots more content available on our YouTube channel, so press that subscribe button. If you're interested in receiving daily updates, we're available on most social media platforms. Just search for Tom and Dom Travel.